It's Thursday, May 9. In the headlines, Education Minister addresses security issues in schools. Jamaica achieves major public health milestone. In business news, the number of credit cards in circulation has increased. Regionally, Antigua to host high-level gender forum ahead of SIDS 4. And in sports, Nago Head Primary ran away with the grand prize at the InSports Devon Biscuits Primary Schools Central Championship. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. In its efforts to reduce violence in schools, the Ministry of Education has implemented various strategies, including establishing partnerships with the Ministry of National Security and installing CCTV cameras in several schools. In addition to the implementation of several programs and initiatives, Minister Williams says that school resources officers have been providing support to assigned schools.
Currently, Madam Speaker, school resource officers or police officers are assigned to a group of schools, and though no longer physically operating from our educational institutions, they continue to provide valuable support to schools. And this includes, but is not limited to, the following. They coordinate searches upon request. They visit schools regularly. We have motorized patrols in the general school environments before and after school hours. There's regular patrols in the transport and town centers to prevent students loitering during school hours.
She continued, saying that CCTV cameras have been installed in 154 schools.
Madam Speaker, in addition to all the programs and initiatives, we deploy cameras in our schools to help us detect and deter. Based on a recent survey, we know that we have across the education sector some 1,955 cameras. We have started to replace some of them so that there's better technology. We have also embarked on a significant procurement in order to outfit our schools, and we should be able to put out that tender by the first term of the next year.
The Education Minister restated the ministry's commitment to proactively preventing violence related to schools.
We as a government, as a Ministry of Education and Youth, are committed to continue taking proactive measures to prevent violence, respond effectively to incidents, and support those affected. We must significantly reduce violence in our schools to allow us the additional mind space to focus on moving forward with our mission of transforming education for national development.
Some 25,700 teachers have received e-vouchers to procure a laptop, with 24,000 teachers redeeming their vouchers through e-learning Jamaica. Minister of Education and Youth Favour Williams made the disclosure during her contribution to the 2024 sectoral debate in the House of Representatives on Wednesday. She also disclosed that a total of 10,000 computers have been distributed to high schools as part of a program to upgrade technology laboratories at the institutions.
The final pillar of transformation calls for an adjustment to the funding model for schools to facilitate greater flexibility in the allocation of resources to schools. It calls us to implement a funding model that recalibrates the allocation based on the needs of schools in order to ensure equitable treatment. 4 working groups are currently being established, one at each level of the school system, meaning early childhood, primary, secondary, tertiary, to do a deep dive into the needs of schools and to give us an appropriate funding response guided by research.
The Technical Vocational Education and Training Agency, Heart NSTA Trust, has announced that it has exceeded several targets set for the new fiscal year. Dr. Tanisha Ingleton, managing director of the agency, revealed this during a recent session at the JIS think tank. Danita Rodney has the details.
After merging with the National Youth Service, the Apprenticeship Board, and the Jamaican Foundation for Lifelong Learning, the TVET Institute has undergone substantial transformations with a restructuring of its offerings. According to Managing Director Dr. Tanisha Ingleton, one such result is the increase in enrollment since the removal of tuition fees.
The Trust is proud to report that for the financial year ending March 2024, it had a planned enrollment of 128,255. However, based on the focus of the organization, we were able to actually accomplish 137,411 individuals across our suite of programs. Certainly, this had a lot to do with our removal of fees. It also had a lot to do with the work that we would have put in our trainee support services framework and our reimagined approaches to recruiting individuals in the organization.
She shared that the Trust also surpassed its certification target.
As it concerns our certification target, the Trust had a target of 53,969 individuals across the financial year. However, based on the work of the hard-working members of the Trust and our different approaches to ensuring that our trainees complete their training, we would have been able to achieve 55,267. This is 103% relating to 3% over target.
Another target that was exceeded was their placement target.
And importantly, our placement target this year was 8,030. The Trust was able to achieve 10,464. That's 10,464 young people placed in viable jobs across Jamaica. This is a notable 30% above target.
Heart NSTA says they remain committed to empowering individuals to realize their full potential and contribute to nation building. Reporting for the news on PBCJ, I'm Danita Rodney.
Jamaica has achieved a huge public health milestone, the elimination of mother-to-child transmission of HIV and syphilis. Speaking at the certification ceremony for the elimination of mother-to-child transmission of HIV/AIDS and syphilis on Tuesday at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel, Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. Christopher Tufton acknowledged the certification as an important victory in the fight against HIV as a public health challenge. He's urging Jamaica and the region to not get complacent in the fight against HIV, noting that HIV prevention must remain the priority for healthcare providers. Jamaica's Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Jacqueline Mackenzie, says it's a tremendous goal that has been achieved. The milestone is being celebrated in partnership with the Pan American Health Organization, whose director, Dr. Jabas Barbosa, came to Jamaica in person to celebrate the achievement. Here's a special report on Jamaica's elimination of mother-to-child transmission of HIV and syphilis.
To think that we can stop the transmission of HIV from a mother to a child, and to think now we've reached a point that HIV positive ladies can have children, it's a tremendous goal that we have achieved, and I really do hope that we continue to keep this up. I know that we will.
So AMTCT has always been on the forefront of our program because it's one of the ways that we as a country could verify that we had epidemic control of HIV, and also that we were managing syphilis to prevent congenital syphilis in our babies. So ever since the early 2000s, we have had a PMTCT program, a prevention of mother-to-child transmission of both HIV and syphilis. And by the end of 2002, PMTCT was ingrained in our health system.
Jamaica has been working on this for a long while, and we are seeing the fruits. The women, I think just us being able to support them through this process to have HIV-free babies and syphilis-free babies is a major win for us as a healthcare system and a country.
As a Jamaican, it really gives me joy just that we're able to accomplish this. You know, it's a small island and we don't always necessarily have all the required tools and all the prerequisites, but just with our team that we have here at National Public Health Lab, our quality management system, and every member here, regardless of what role they play, it was really just a good thing seeing us going through the various steps and accomplishing this. You know, we just really try to live up to our motto, out of many, one people, so it's really a team effort. It's not just one.
So I know for those of us on the ground, the residents, the pediatricians, the nurses, midwives, porters, janitors, I mean, it's a lot of hard work that we've had to undergo. So, I mean, for us, it's great. For Jamaica, it's a step in the right direction. You know, our goal as a healthcare in Jamaica is really just to be the best for our patients. And I think this is definitely a step in the right direction.
It has been a journey. Our team has been compassionate. They have been sensitive to the patients and their needs and their confidentiality. So no one no longer needs to feel ashamed or feel afraid of coming to seek that level of care, because we are here to care and to ensure that you have the best outcome.
Personally, I think as Jamaicans, we really work together. We unite together the different entities. What we do is to get other women involved and partners involved, and also to get the participants involved as much as possible. So it's not like just giving, but they are giving, receiving, yes. Collaboration, yes.
I felt very proud for Jamaica to achieve the status of elimination of mother-to-child transmission. I've been in the program for many, many years and see the hard work by the team. The team is so motivated that you do not have to do anything. They know what they need to do, and I can tell you, Team Jamaica.
So what is the next step? I mean, we have to maintain what has been done, and we have to look and see within the international sphere if there is anything else that we need to address in terms of preventing mother-to-child transmission of diseases, because at the end of the day, we do want a healthy society.
So I really want to use this opportunity to say a very big thank you on behalf of the government and people of Jamaica to WHO for the leadership and the collaboration, to our various stakeholders, including civil society groups, because it is through that joint effort that we're able to celebrate this a major achievement today. I think it's a big win for Jamaicans and by extension for the people of the Americas.
Time now for the business report with Denise Williams.
Good day, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the Business Report. I'm Denise Williams, your guide through the latest happenings in the world of business. The Bank of Jamaica is reporting that there were 407,534 credit cards in circulation at November 2023. That represented a 6.2% increase compared to the end of November 2022. In its annual report, the central bank says 33.58 million credit card transactions were processed by deposit-taking institutions valued at 893.52 billion Jamaican dollars. These figures represented a decline in volumes of 5.6%. The overall value increased, however, by 10.7% relative to the same period in 2022. Cygnus Real Estate Finance says it has closed the sale of 2 investment properties from its portfolio. In a release, the company said the lands located at 56 and 58 Lady Musgrave Road were sold at what it described as attractive valuations. The sums were not disclosed. The company says this reflects its strategic focus on maximizing returns for its shareholders. Cygnus says the proceeds from the sale will support the company's second investment life cycle. Sidney Thwaites, president of the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, JMEA, says the organization is resolute in building a robust manufacturing community in Jamaica. He was speaking at the JMEA Manufacture 360 Degrees conference held at the AC Hotel Kingston yesterday, May 8. According to JMEA, up to November last year, the manufacturing sector accounted for gross value-added output of 71.4 billion Jamaican dollars compared with 67.4 billion Jamaican dollars for 2019 in its 12-month entirety. Domestic exports from manufacturing for January to November 2023 was valued at 794.4 million Jamaican dollars. Employment in manufacturing also has grown, moving from 78,775 persons to over 84,000 persons last year. During trading on May 8, 2024, the following companies valued at 500 million Jamaican dollars or more in assets represented the overall volume leaders in terms of equity sales on the main market of the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Alternative energy supplier Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with 2,248,806 units amounted to 37.4% of the market volume on the main market in terms of sales. Toll road operator Trans-Jamaica Highway Limited with 690,330 units amounted to 11.48% of the market value on the main market in terms of sales. Debt financing firm Cygnus Credit Investment Limited, JMD ordinary shares with 505,038 units amounted to 8.4% of the market volume on the main market in terms of sales. During trading on May 8, 2024 on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, the following companies represent the overall volume leaders in terms of sales of equity on the junior stock market, with companies valued at 50 million or more in asset value. Phosphorus Company Limited with 353,541 units amounting to 19.51% of the market volume on the junior market in terms of sales. One Great Studio Company Limited with 270,376 units amounted to 14.92% of the market volume on the junior market in terms of sales. Stationery and Office Supplies Limited with 228,034 units amounted to 12.58% of the market volume on the junior market in terms of sales. Over on the Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, trading on May 8, 2024, registered a volume of 195,652 shares crossing the floor of the exchange valued at 1,934,630 Trinidad and Tobago dollars and 56 cents. NCB Financial Group Limited was the volume leader with 76,000 shares changing hands for a value of 207,200 Trinidad and Tobago dollars, followed by Massey Holdings Limited with a volume of 72,598 shares being traded for 307,967 Trinidad and Tobago dollars and 20 cents. Moving from the money moves of investors, executives, and companies, we turn to the forex market. On May 8, 2024, the Bank of Jamaica reported that US $84.5 million was bought from forex traders, while US $70.2 million was sold to forex traders. Buying directly from the Bank of Jamaica, foreign currency traders sold the US dollar for $157.50 and bought US dollars for $156.16. The difference between the buy and sell rate was $1.34, which represents a profit for forex traders for every US dollar traded. Canadian forex traders earned a trading profit of 31 cents from transactions at the Bank of Jamaica. The Canadian dollar was sold at $115.22 and bought for $114.91. For traders looking at the British pound, they pocketed a profit of $3.55, selling it for $195.54 and buying it for $191.99. For our credit report tip of the day, it is critical that you demonstrate financial stability. Lenders look for borrowers who demonstrate financial stability and responsibility. If this is your first time buying a home, you can strengthen your mortgage application by showcasing consistent employment history, stable residence, and responsible financial behavior. This stability reassures lenders of your ability to manage mortgage payments effectively. And with that, we wrap up today's business report. I'm Denise Williams. Appreciate your company. Stay well informed, stay ahead of the curve. Until our next update, take care.
In regional news, Minister of Labour Stephen McClashy says government intends to ensure no child in Trinidad and Tobago is exploited in the workplace. Terrianne Brown Campbell has that story.
Minister of Labour Stephen McClashy says his ministry is working to ensure children will not need to work, but if they do, they will be safe. Speaking to Labour stakeholders at a consultation on Wednesday, Minister McClashy outlined the work being undertaken by his ministry.
The government established the National Steering Committee for the Prevention and Elimination of Child Labour. The task of the committee is to oversee critical activities to prevent and protect children from labour exploitation.
The Labour Minister said certain industries or sectors such as agriculture or construction may pose heightened risk to child workers.
4 subcommittees have been established as follows: data collection, developing monitoring and evaluation mechanisms and reporting requirements. 2, development of light and hazardous work lists. 3, the establishment of protocols for collaboration among agencies and drafting of child labour policy.
He said the 4th committee would develop and implement public awareness campaigns and training for inspectors.
The task before us is formidable, yet it is one that we approach with determination and resolve. Our objective is clear: to develop comprehensive and effective lists categorizing work types as either light, hazardous, or prohibited for children under the age of 18.
Minister McClashy stressed that without these lists, identifying instances of child labour in hazardous or exploitative conditions will be more challenging. Terrianne Brown Campbell, TTT News.
In Antigua, officials are counting down the United Nations-sponsored Gender Equality Forum later this month. The high-level international event is to precede the 4th Conference on Small Islands Developing States, SIDS-4. Philana Johnson reports.
The upcoming Gender and Equality Forum is focused on addressing inequalities and how it affects accessing resources and financing. UN's Women Multi-Country Office representative for this region, Tony Broadber, says there are very good reasons why women are often the ones highlighted during such discussions.
Generally, because of our history in the Caribbean and abroad, women are facing the longer-term impacts. So when we look at men, they are, in the Caribbean, at least from what our data shows, the ones who are immediately impacted most.
Broadber also reveals the Gender Equality Forum will be convened within the historic Nelson's Dockyard. She says there will be ample room for local voices to be added to the international discussion. Central to the forum will be an Equality Village marketplace.
So for members of the public who want to get an understanding of what's happening, before you even get a deep understanding, you'll understand that a key issue around resilience is economic empowerment. And we will have women entrepreneurs from across the Caribbean and Pacific selling their products.
The intention is to ensure that the fourth SID conference will not simply be a talk shop, but will produce measurable outcomes. However, Broadbear explains on Wednesday's Antigua and Barbuda Today why talk is also important.
Talk shops can be very frustrating when the talk goes nowhere. But there is an importance, and I think we've lost the capacity to talk and disagree effectively, to come to a position of shared collaboration and agreement as to where we need to go to move the world forward. And sometimes we need those talk shops.
Falana Johnson, ABS News.
The government of Grenada has raised concerns about the excessive presence of private vehicles on the roads. Consequently, they have unveiled plans for an initiative aimed at decreasing this number. The current volume of vehicles is deemed unsustainable for both the road infrastructure and the environment. More from GBN News.
Records show over 60,000 vehicles on Grenada's roads, and Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell is of the view that the number of private vehicles intended for personal use is not sustainable for the island's roads, infrastructure and environment. The Prime Minister, who is also Minister of Transportation, expressed this view as he announced government's plans to embark on an initiative that will result in a reduction of the number of private vehicles for personal use on the nation's roads.
Rolling back the amount of private vehicles that we have is one of the policy initiatives that the transformation of the transport sector is meant to achieve. Because we recognize if we do not do so, the continued unsustainable part of simply having more and more vehicles on island is just something that is not going to be sustainable. And in any event, the average Grenadian's income doesn't permit him to purchase a private vehicle, so he will still need public transportation.
According to Prime Minister Mitchell, with a functional transportation system, the need for private vehicles might be lessened.
So the idea is that the more we can have a public transportation system that moves people en masse, where one vehicle can move more people, it's a more efficient system. The unit cost for the system becomes lower, and the carbon footprint becomes lower.
He pointed out that some of the vehicles are often abandoned on the side of the roads when they have expired, and the government must then do the cleaning up.
Vehicles, like all of the machines, have a shelf life. And when the shelf life comes to an end, what happens to the vehicle? What happens to the oil? What happens to the engines? What happens to the parts? And I think you've seen MIT, for example, has been trying to deal with the enormous pileup of derelict vehicles that are on our roads. It's not attractive to us, mosquito sites, it's not attractive to our tourism, it's not attractive to the environment.
The Prime Minister urged Grenadians to invest their money in other means of improving their lifestyles.
So what we are seeking to do is to encourage a system where, as one of the commissioners pointed out, that we do not waste our resources.
In sports, we're out the blocks with news from the final day of the In Sports Devon Biscuits Primary Schools Central Championship. Nagohead Primary walked away with a grand prize of $350,000 after earning a total of 313 points. The school dethroned former champions Spanish Town Primary, who placed second with 236.5 points, while Greater Portmore Primary finished third with 229 points. St. John's and Southborough Primary completed the top 5. The top 8 teams now advanced to the grand finale set for May 20 to May 22 to decide the All-Island champion. Milestone Primary from St. Thomas won the Eastern Championship last week. The Western Championship starts on Thursday at St. Elizabeth Technical High School, with Coronaldi Avenue Primary of St. James being the defending champions. And that's the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thanks for watching.